And welcome into the FanDuel TV studios here in Los Angeles on a Saturday morning. Welcome, I'm Dave Weaver. Special shout out to those joining us on our social media platforms today. We're going to take you through a preview of what's happening today here on FanDuel TV over the next 15 minutes or so. We will have some racing to get to. Gabby Gaudet joins me to talk about all the news that we have, both the tracks that are going to be racing and the tracks that unfortunately are not going to be racing. Good morning or good afternoon. I don't even know what time zone you're in. It's noon, right?
Neither do I, Dave. It's still morning. It's 11:30 Eastern time here in Louisville, Kentucky. So it's still morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's been wild weather. Of course, you know, the big story is obviously what's going on in California. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, though, we got additional snow. We got up to 3 to 4 inches overnight. And obviously that's going to create some cancellations around the Louisville area, including Turfway, which we'll talk a little bit later. But yeah, just wild conditions all across the country, Dave, unfortunately.
Yeah, much different out here in California. You've probably heard of the fires that we had a few days ago. That yesterday they did announce that they're going to cancel yesterday at Santa Anita. And here's a look at what it looked like. I believe this was some footage from Thursday afternoon. You can see the smoke just covering the entire area. There were some terrible wildfires in an adjacent city called Altadena that took out so many neighborhoods. Just so tragic. The Pacific Palisades fires are not yet out, and those fires and that smoke has actually moved in the direction that has made it unfavorable to race today as far as a air quality standpoint. So Santa Anita, about an hour ago, announced that, yes, they will not be racing today or tomorrow. So they're going to cancel the remainder of the weekend, and that's absolutely the right thing to do.
Absolutely. The priority here is keeping the horses safe, the people safe in the community right now, and we'll get back to racing as soon as it's possible. But I think one of those things, and look, I'm not from California, and I don't know what this experience could possibly be like, but you have to think about the air quality, the water quality, and just keep everybody in mind. And a nice tweet coming out from Santa Anita earlier today as well. Our heart is with our community. Thank you to our first responders for your bravery. And I really underscore that, Dave. I mean, you know, when you have situations like this, people run away from the fires, and then you have those first responders that are running towards the fires. And the bravery that we have seen and just the kindness and the bravery that we've seen from these first responders during these tragic events out in California is unbelievable. So love that tweet that Santa Anita sent out. And of course, just keeping everybody in our prayers and our thoughts throughout this really devastating time.
Yeah, and the fires are still burning in different parts. So we'll certainly keep our eye on that and monitor the situation. We were going to be talking about the Cal Cup Derby, which was supposed to take place today at Santa Anita, but we're going to talk about a different three-year-old race that's coming in from Tampa Bay Downs. That's the Pasco Stakes. Irad Ortiz, who normally would be riding at Gulfstream, is going to take a trip over to Tampa to ride some live horses, including the morning line favorite in the Pasco.
Yeah, Ono Mighty, he comes out of the Iroquois last seen, finishing second to the likes of Jonathan Way. So that was back in the middle of September, and I thought that was actually a good effort for him. I think it proved that he could get a little bit better going a distance of ground. I know it was still just the one-turn mile. Today, there's still a question mark of whether or not he will eventually be able to get that distance, because the distance of this race is going to be 7/8. It's a good spot for him. I do wonder, you know, if this is a horse that they're going to want to stretch out in distance. Here is the Ellis Park Juvenile Stakes, and this was going 7/8 as well. And I honestly thought that this was visually one of his best performances.
Well, clearly the secret was out before this horse had even raced, because he opened up 7-5 at Churchill. He won. Then he comes back in the stakes. He goes off at 3-5. So they always thought highly of him. He would be second last time out in the Grade 3 Iroquois. So he's already graded stakes placed and a stakes winner. Clearly a deserving favorite. There's another horse, Gabby, that has won at the 7-furlong distance. It wasn't in a stakes race, though. It was in a maiden special weight race, and that was at Churchill Downs on what would be a sloppy track that day back on November the 14th. I'm talking about Very Bold.
Yeah, and think about Owen Hardy in the year that he had last year with some of his 2-year-olds. Now the calendar turns and he has a couple of exciting 3-year-old prospects. Now, this horse did go against Maiden Special Weight Company on a sloppy sealed track, and he loved it. He's bred to love the conditions. So I guess the question is whether or not he can duplicate an effort like this on a fast main track. They tried the synthetic with him last time out at Turfway Park. He didn't really take a liking to that. So it kind of seems like, honestly, Dave, they've been trying to figure him out. He's almost been a bit of a project because first time out, they sprinted him on the turf. Then they brought him to the dirt. Then they tried the synthetic. And I think they're just trying to figure out really what makes him tick.
They've got that early in the card. It goes race number 4 later today here on FanDuel TV. We'll show that race from Tampa Bay down. Now let's talk about the older division. Here we have the nominees for this year's Pegasus World Cup Invitational. Very popular for the S's. There's 5 S's invited. Now this is alphabetical, Gabby. So White Abarrio is hoping this is not the post position because in the Pegasus, you do not want post position number 12.
Absolutely not. No, especially not White Abarrio, who's had some issues coming out of the starting gate as well. So I think a post position, the best post position for White Abarrio, is going to be key for him in the Pegasus World Cup to kind of bounce back after that disappointing effort last time out with excuse coming out of the starting gate. But this is going to be a tough field, and rightly so. I think Locked is one of those horses that has had a bit of a tough time kind of staying on track, but when he's good, he can be really good, and it looks like Todd Pletcher has him in his best form right now. And of course, Mystic Dan. We have to talk about the Derby winner from last year. He came back in the Malibu. He was disappointing in that, but he had to ship across country. It wasn't his preferred distance. And I like the fact that Kenny McPeak has decided to ship him down to Gulfstream and get him acclimated, because that's one of the tougher things, I think, not only getting acclimated to the track at Gulfstream, but also the weather during the winter.
He actually had to work at Gulfstream Park not long ago. Prior to that, Andy Biancone caught up with what would be exercise rider Robbie Alvarado, who used to ride a lot of horses for Kenny. This is before the work earlier this morning with Robbie and Andy.
Robbie Alvarado will be aboard Mystic Dan for his work. Robbie, tell us what the game plan is.
Well, I think we're working 5-8 this morning. A nice work, let him finish up and see how he's come back from San Anita. He's trained extremely well this week. Couldn't be happier with his way he's doing.
How would you say Kenny likes his horses to work? Does he like them to break off fast, a good gallop to the pole, or what's his usual?
I mean, he don't want them walking the first part of it, but he likes them moderate first half, and then he wants them finishing from the quarter pole home. And I think with Mystic Dan today, we just experiment, see how he's doing early in the work, and then let him finish up well. But I think he's backed himself.
Will he be going solo?
No, he'll be going company. I think the horse is called the Cavalry. I think he's gone working against, and I'm looking forward to a good move from him this morning.
Is Mystic Dan typically an aggressive workhorse? Will he be inside or outside?
It'll probably be outside. I'm just guessing. So it can kind of dictate if I want to go early or move fast or whatever. You know, so being the outside, I prefer the outside. So if the inside horse is going too fast, I can sit off of him. But Mystic Dan, he does whatever you need him to do. I'm excited the way he's traveling these days.
Robbie, you are so awesome. We are looking forward to see you aboard Mystic Dan at 7:30.
See you then.
All right, so let's see if it went to plan. This was from, maybe just a few hours ago out at Gulfstream Park. We'll pick him up from right around the top of the lane home. So as Robbie predicted, he was going to put him on the outside here, Gabby.
Yeah, so he's on the outside of his workmate. Man, it is a busy track, too. There are so many gallopers out there. So this is quite impressive, the fact that he drew away from his company. This is the first time I'm looking at this work, and I actually do not know who he worked in company with, at least the past performances of the horse. But he dominated. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And drawing away from his workmate there, it looked like he got a good, strong gallop out in. I know we cut it off a little bit short, but it looked like he got a good, strong gallop out too, which is also important. And you want to see good works. You also want to see good energy levels each and every day down there in Florida, especially considering the amount that he has traveled, right? He had to travel all the way out to the West Coast, and now he has to travel all the way back to South Florida. And in that, a horse can become dehydrated. They can get, a little unhappy. So the fact that he is keeping up those energy levels, it looks like he's keeping up his condition. Those are all real positive signs, Dave.
Kentucky Derby winner coming through. That looked like the Kentucky Derby. Looked like he passed about 19 horses there in the stretch this morning at Gulfstream. After the work, we caught up with trainer Kenny McPeak.
Watch Mystic Dan work for the Pegasus World Cup. What were your overall impressions of the breeze?
It was great. He finished like lightning fast. And, the thing about coming and racing here in Florida is it gets a little humid on occasion. The horse needs to sweat. Actually, it's a good day for this because it's a little warmer today than it's been the last several. And I think you've got to do that to acclimate here. But Robbie said he thought he got a little tired. He said he thought on the gallop out that he was really blowing pretty good, this is why we're here, right? And he's drank a good bucket of water, so we'll monitor that. And he's got time to work again, so we've got plenty of time here.
Overall, how do you feel like he's acclimating to Gulfstream Park?
Oh, he's handled it good. I think he likes the racetrack. I think the weather obviously is always cooperative this time of year down here, and I think he settled in fine.
What made you decide to go to the Pegasus?
Well, we know that the race in California was a race that was a little bit out there in the sense that we had to switch distances, we had to travel a long way, which is really logistically real tricky, and it wasn't easy on the horse or the staff. But we're going to wipe that race back clean and then try again here. But he's a high-level horse, and he deserves a shot at the highest level, and we will give him every chance for that. If we don't feel like he's right and ready, we won't run in the Pegasus. But at this point, we're making plans to go.
Kenny, thank you so much, and thank you for allowing us to bother you all morning.
No, though, it's my pleasure.
Kenny's a good guy. Yeah, he definitely lets us get up close and personal with some of his better horses, including Mystic Dan and Torpedo Anna. So 2 weeks out from today to the Pegasus, what are your expectations, Gabby, for Mystic Dan?
Well, listening to Kenny in that interview, I think they're really just taking it day by day. They're going to see how he comes out of this work. If he feels that he's not doing well, or maybe this took a little bit out of him. This was a very important work because it's 2 weeks out. They'll probably see how he works back next weekend and then obviously decide after that. It's been a lot, I think, just the travel schedule with him, and sometimes that can take a lot out of a horse. I've always said this, and speaking to many horsemen throughout my career, when you're shipping horses somewhere for a race, you either want to ship right on top of the race, or you want to ship in about a month or 6 weeks out to get those horses acclimated. There's a little bit of a period in between that time frame where horses kind of take a little bit of a dip, and it takes a lot out of them. So I feel like Kenny really has to monitor how Mystic Dan is doing, and obviously talk to his staff, who knows him very well. Robbie Alvarado has been on him many times in the morning, and then just take it from there. There are big races throughout the calendar year, here and internationally, so I think he's just going to listen to the horse and see if he's fit and ready to go for a big effort in the Pegasus.
And sounds like he'll have a work maybe a week from now to get him all set for the big one. Later on today at Gulfstream Park, we do have an opportunity for you through your FanDuel Racing account. Take advantage of the Win Bet Insurance. That'll take place on race number 10. What you need to do is go to your FanDuel Racing account, opt in, and now you get up to $10 back. It used to be $5. Now you get $10 back as a racing bonus if you finish second or third on that first win bet in race number 10 at Gulfstream Park. If you don't have that FanDuel Racing account, sign up right now. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to the sign-up page, and our new customers to FanDuel Racing are going to make themselves eligible for a no-sweat first bet up to $500. Make that initial deposit, make that first bet, and you get your money back if it doesn't win Insight credit. Thanks for those that have been watching on our social media platforms. You can switch on over to FanDuel TV to catch us the rest of the day.